Yeah, so it's kind of a long story. I'll try to make it short.
Yeah.
But man, I started acting. I started acting was in when I was in high school,
Hmm.
and I really enjoyed connecting with people. And I knew that I had a voice in terms of
Hmm.
how I reach people. I knew that I had a voice. I learned that in 11th grade. I started in a Black History play. First time I auditioned, I got one of the lead roles. The second year, I got a lead role, and then I went to school for engineering, and I kind of got away from acting.
Yeah.
Um, and then my mom said, "Hey, get your degree, and then you can go and be an actor wherever you want, but finish school, use your brain." So I
Hmm.
did that, um, and worked in industry, worked in aerospace, worked in
Yeah.
telecom, all of that stuff while I was married, and came out here after a divorce. And acting was on and off, right? And I just kind of got tired of waiting on Hollywood to discover me, if you will. And I was like,
Yeah.
hey, I have a voice, I have a phone, and they can't stop me from talking.
Mhm.
So I started Dave Life TV in 2018. Started Dave Life TV in 2018, and it started with the Dave Life show, which was basically a reality show of me turning on my camera, going around the city, and just recording myself.
Mhm.
My first thing was I recorded my mom doing her New Year's Eve dinner, and everybody liked it. They liked my mom's cooking, so
Mhm.
I narrated my mother's cooking. That was my first thing. I had some old clips from church when I did like modeling and fashion stuff. So I
Yeah.
put like some style stuff up. But then I didn't. I got into my actual podcast after dark 2 years after I started Dave Life TV, the channel.
Yeah. So, so that's how you started. So, what made you want to get into acting at first? Like, you always wanted to be an actor as a kid?
As a kid, my brother was a great artist. My brother Hank, he could draw really, really well.
Yeah.
And I was a bookworm, man. I was a nerd. I liked bugs. I liked inventing, and I liked chemistry
Yeah.
and science. Um, so I didn't really know I had a talent. In fourth grade, I discovered that I had an ear for music.
Yeah.
Um, and but I didn't really take lessons for music until I was about 21. So my only outlet to be creative was to make mixtapes. Back in the day when I was a kid,
Yeah.
we would make slow jam tapes for the women we were trying to holler at. For the girls,
Oh
we
yeah.
would we would make slow jam tapes. So we used to make slow jam tapes with Prince, Keith Sweat, I'll be sure, all that stuff, Guy, but one thing that I didn't realize is when I made my mixtapes, I was doing a lot of cuts and editing. It sounded like you were listening to a radio station by the way I was doing my cuts.
Yeah.
Um, Here's how I got into acting.
Mhm.
I got into acting because I transferred to a white high school from a black high school in 11th grade. And when I went to the white high school, I didn't know nobody, right?
Yeah.
And I wasn't an athlete, so I joined the track team. I wasn't that fast, but I joined the track team so I could have something on my resume for college. But my brother was the athlete, so I'm like, man, what do I really do other than like, I'm good at math and science, and I'm a good reader and speaker. And the track team one day they said, hey, everybody on the track team, all the black people on the football team, we need y'all to come to the auditorium. Black History Month is coming up, and we're gonna do a play. So Black History was coming up, and they said we're gonna do a play. So they said all the black people go to the auditorium, sit and listen to this presentation, and if you want to audition, sign up. So I did that. I listened, and then I auditioned, and I ended up getting one of the lead roles. And the wild part is, my mom was there in the audience when we did the play. A lot of parents were there, and it was a play where it was called Awareness, a performance of sight, sound, and the spoken word. And it was an awareness of who you are as a black person. It took you from slavery to civil rights to everything that happened after. So it's kind of like a entourage, a montage type play.
Yeah.
And I had to play a slave. I had to play a king. I had to play a person that was being segregated. So I learned a lot in high school, even in that one play.
Yeah.
And what made me want to act is people were in tears at the end of that play, and
Yeah.
people who were kind of like, oh man, he's not an athlete. He not a jock. He kind of quiet. He kind of a nerd. People at the end of that play dapped me up and said, "Yo, man, you can, you can act, dude. Like I ain't expect you had that kind of talent. I mean, people were in tears. It was a moving play. It was about, the black experience in America. So once that happened, I realized, wow, I really like using my voice to touch people, to help people. Right.
Yeah.
So I thought acting and podcasting kind of came out of the music, the production side. You know what I'm saying? Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
'cause you
So
definitely got a skill for it. So did acting inspire your move to LA, or was that for work?
100%.
Oh yeah, like 100%.
100%. So I got to kind of like it's a parallel path.
Mhm.
There's acting and then there's production and writing and editing.
Yeah.
All right. So in high school, my best friend he went to Japan as a exchange student. Right. He went to Japan. Our favorite TV show back in the late '80s was Miami Vice. We
Yeah.
loved Miami Vice. So when he was about to go to Japan our senior year, he's gonna miss prom and all that. So this is like my best friend, man.
Yeah.
He liked Miami Vice, and him and my brother used to listen to Miami Vice. And if you know anything about Miami Vice,
Mhm.
it was a buddy cop show with a black lead and a white lead. It was
Yeah.
the first show on television where a black lead was equivalent to a white lead. Philip Michael Thomas played Tubbs, Don Johnson played Crockett, and it showed that a black man could be, equivalent. I mean, In the Heat of the Night was a similar show back in the day, but it just showed that, okay, hold on, man. Not only is his brother a cop, he's a prominent cop in Miami. He's a drug, they get into drug busts, and he's equivalent to his white partner. And then they had the number one show for like 8 years running,
Yeah.
right? So my best friend loved that joint. I loved it. So when he went to Japan, I said, hey, man, I'm going to make you two tapes. I'm going to make you a mixtape for the ladies, and I'm going to make you a Miami Vice tape. So I had my VCR, I had my CD player, and I had my mom's turntable and tape deck. And I created a Miami Vice tape. It sounded like you listened and watched a whole movie or episode of Miami Vice. I had audio from the show that would like conversations that would lead into a song
Mhm.
that would lead into another conversation that would lead into a song. And when you played that whole tape, it sounded like you were in an episode of Miami Vice with all the feels and everything, man. And we had, I was just using a tape deck and a VCR and a turntable and a mixer. So when that happened, I learned that, man, not only do I enjoy acting, I
Mhm.
really like editing. I have a thing for this editing music. This is before I could even play piano. I
Yeah.
was editing music. So as I go through life, I get married, all that stuff. I'm working on music for kids at church. I started a production company. We can talk about that. And then I still love acting. So
Mhm.
at some point when acting wasn't going, I did music. And then I got into the podcasting as a result. I came to LA. I always wanted to come to LA to pursue acting, but I also had this thing for music where I was like, one of these gonna pop. I just need to be in Los Angeles. I don't need to be in Chicago. I don't need to be in Atlanta. I need to come to LA
Mhm.
because the acting thing was LA. I needed
Yeah.
to be here for that.